Hello, everyone. Welcome to the podcast. My name is Rutuja. I'm the co-founder of Viviva Colors. We sell portable watercolors and art supplies that are super convenient to carry with you. And today we have with me Claudette. Hello, Claudette. She is the community encourager at Get Messy, an online art journaling school. Claudette, first of all, welcome to this podcast. It's lovely to have you.
Oh, thank you so much for inviting me. It was very exciting news when I heard that I'm going to get to chat to you today.
Yes, I'm super excited that I'm going to be chatting with you for the next 30 to 45 minutes. We'll see how this one goes. First questions first, Claudette. I am super impressed with your job title, which is Community Encourager. So why don't you tell us a little bit more about that?
Okay, well, I started working for Get Messy a few years ago, and I think part of what made me so enthusiastic about the idea of being able to work for this community was that I had already been a part of the Get Messy community for quite a few years. And I just loved how much this community had influenced my life. And I know it sounds a bit dramatic to say changed my life, but it really did. I've got online friends that I view as people that I might have met in person. I feel so close to them. And it really was quite eye-opening to see that you can connect with people online and have such strong bonds with them. And so this passion for community was really what got me involved in Get Messy. And I just love being able to encourage people to make art and to stay connected to their creativity. And so I think I have the best job ever.
Nice. I can see that you love your job really a lot. Wonderful. So let's start with the most important question here, right? First of all, your brand talks about Get Messy, which is embracing chaos. And at Viviva Colors, we make, of course, portable watercolors, but we also say they're super mess-free. So, where do you think the magic really lies, in structure or in chaos?
Well, I think for me personally, I think first of all, you need to know what it is that speaks to your creative heart. So I personally like to have things really structured. I like my studio space to be clean. I like everything to be in its space. And I like to feel that there is a structure and a purpose to how I am creating. But there are other artists out there who thrive on this idea of just being able to work in the chaos. And so they never put things away. They want their desk to be full of supplies and scraps of paper. And that process is what is inspiring to them. So I think it's important to have a bit of a balance between both, but also to know what is it that you need as an artist. And that might change. You might be in a season where chaos is the thing that is speaking to you. And a year from now, you might feel that because there's so much other chaos going on that you'd like a bit more structure in your creativity. So it's also okay for things to change and fluctuate in how you are creating. So I think you need to sort of be in tune with what is it that I am needing right now. And if that changes, that's totally okay. Go with it.
Interesting. So you're saying it's not just subjective, but for me as a person, it could from time to time as well.
Absolutely. I think so. Yeah.
Nice to hear that.
How do you feel?
I think, honestly, I can see a lot of commonality between what Get Messy is promoting and Viviva as well. Because both of us are trying to say that don't wait to create that one masterpiece, which may or may not happen in your life, but just to get into the art of painting something or drawing something, and something will work out eventually, right? So just find inspiration in little things, like, for example, you're going out for a cup of coffee and just start doodling something or dabbling something, right? So I think that's one thing which is common between both the brands, and I really believe in that.
Yeah, it makes me think of Kaylee's saying, more than zero is enough. So even if it's something as simple as you say, having a cup of coffee and you decide, I'm just going to swatch out my new watercolors that I got, see what they look like. Just that small act of taking them out and doing something small is all that you need to do.
Absolutely. Because indirectly you're being a little more mindful and stealing a moment to do for yourself, which is always a good idea.
Absolutely.
So, Claudette, the last time I spoke to you, which was a couple of days ago, you mentioned that you're a mom of 6 beautiful kids,
Yeah.
and art happened to you, and art journaling, more importantly, happened to you after having your kids. So, why don't you tell our audience about your journey?
Oh, okay. So at the end of 2018, I had just had my sixth child, and I was feeling as though I was really becoming disconnected to myself, because I'm sure moms out there can relate to this idea of completely pouring yourself into your family, into your children. Um, Maybe moms or maybe women out there who don't have children have maybe got a very demanding career, or, I've even related it to people who've got elderly parents, maybe, or sickly siblings. And so there is a lot of times in life where you have to be putting more into the people around you than what you might be putting into yourself. And so I found myself in this position where I was feeling a lot of resentment towards the fact that I had nothing for myself. There was nothing that I could reach for to give myself some comfort or just a break from all the chaos going on in my mind and all of the things that I had to do and remember in my daily life. And that's how I decided. And I always say that this was completely crazy because I was making no art, but there was just this voice inside of me that knew that being creative was the way that I was going to be able to find some healing and some comfort. And so I decided in September of 2018, I was going to listen to this voice, and I was going to start a 365-day project where I would create something every day for the 365 days. And I promised myself I wasn't going to skip a single day. And so in that period, I did have, and of course, I always say very well-meaning family members, when we go away on vacation or something, they'd say, couldn't you just make some art extra, a few days extra, so that when you're on vacation, you don't have to take your supplies and create, because, you've technically done the 365 days. And I said to them, no, the idea is that I'm going to connect to myself every day for the 365 days. So I never missed a day. And no matter what life looked like, no matter where I was, I stuck to it and I created art every single day. And at the end of that 365 days, I had gone on such a journey. I had discovered art journaling, which I had no idea existed. And I had found a community of people, and I had found something that fit me so that I was able to show up as a better person to those around me, because that resentment had been able to be replaced by something that was nurturing me so that I could nurture everyone that needed a piece of me throughout the day.
That is really an incredible story, and it struck a chord with me personally. It's super inspiring to hear your story, and whenever I become a mother, I think I'm going to take a couple of lessons from this podcast for sure. I have a lot of follow-up questions actually, but let me ask you a couple of them that are probably the most important. So, what made you, first of all, choose art journaling as your calling? Like, what inspired you to choose art journaling amongst so many other things that you could have potentially done?
I think it was this idea that in art journaling, it's so broad that I wasn't being boxed in. I could play with watercolors, I could play with acrylics, I could do collage, I could stitch on paper. There's just so much freedom in the spectrum that is art journaling. So I felt as though, because I always describe myself with multi-passionate, and I think a lot of creatives can relate to this. If you ask people, they've got hobbies where they're crocheting and maybe gardening or cooking, and they want to do watercolors and a bit of figure sketching or whatever it is. So everybody's got this need to express themselves in various ways. And I felt that art journaling was a perfect place where it all comes together, and you're allowed to do everything. There are no rules. And so you don't have to be good at any of them. You can just dabble and play with all of them all together at the same time.
Lovely. But did the mom guilt kind of creep in from time to time that, hey, I'm taking, some time out for myself every single day? So did that happen in your case?
Absolutely. I think it still happens. In fact, this morning when I was going for a walk and I was thinking about the Get Messy community and how to encourage people to attend hangouts where, we make art together online. And that was the exact thing that I was pondering, right? Like if you have to spend time away from your family because of other responsibilities, maybe you work all day or you've got someone else, your parents that need taking care of or whatever it is, when you get home to then say, okay, you haven't seen me all day, but I'm going to take an hour now to go and make some art. There is definitely that guilt that can creep in and say, no, the right thing to do would be to spend that hour with your family. But here is where I think the difference is, and that is that I felt that I was modeling for my children how I felt they should be as adults. And so when I think about how I would like my daughters to be, I have 4 daughters and 2 sons. And so if I have to think about my daughters, I would hate for them to feel like I was feeling, like everyone else is more important than I am. And my mom modeled for me that you put everyone before yourself. And then what you've got left at the end of the day is what you're allowed to scrape together for yourself. And I also didn't want my sons to feel your wife's place is with the family always. That's her job. And that their wives wouldn't have an independent personality and that they had needs that went beyond their family. So for me, modeling this was very important to my kids. And I really, really, really think that if you take that time, whether it might even be 15 minutes, where you just get home and you allow yourself to decompress by scribbling on a page. Maybe it's just cutting out some words from a magazine and creating a little poem for yourself. Or maybe it is getting out your watercolors and painting your coffee mug for the day. But just allowing yourself that time to breathe before you go and connect with everyone else. Sort of like a touch, pause, engage moment. And I think that it makes a huge difference in how you are able to show up for your family. Because once you've had that space to breathe, you can be happy and you can be ready to give them your full attention because you've had that time to fill your cup up. I think it is a lot more difficult to show up like that when you are feeling like, I haven't had a single minute to myself in days. And here I am, I have to be ready to listen to everyone's stories, to be excited about them following their dreams. And I haven't done anything for my dreams. So I think you're modeling for your children how they're going to be living as adults. And so putting yourself first is important.
Wonderful. What I like the most about what you just said is that, you're not asking them to follow your footsteps literally, that this is what I've done and this is, art journaling or art is the only way forward. You're letting them be them and, pick things that they like to do, like poetry, for example, that you said. But it's important to feel fulfilled as an individual, and then only you can give your best to the others in terms of your energy and your attention. So such a nice. Have any of your kids though picked up art after getting inspired from?
Yes, all my kids are very creative. I struggle with the boys. You know what boys are like? I just wish they would pick up a paintbrush.
I know.
They're not so keen. But the girls all love art. So all my kids have gone for art lessons throughout their youth. I say that sort of the baby is 7 now. So, everyone's gone for their art lessons and I've got all of their art hanging throughout my house. Boys included, they also had to do their art and they did enjoy it, but it's not something that they reach for now. But the girls are constantly in my studio. I have to sort of like say, this supply, this one's mine. You can't use it. Because they'll, before I know it, the paint's all finished, everything's done. And I'm like, this one, I just want to use this one first before you guys have a go at it. But it's really nice to be able to share that connection with them. And to see them growing in confidence and flourishing, it's just so exciting to have a passion in common with them. So I love that.
I'm sure it's like a form of bonding with them as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
In
Yeah.
my case, it got me thinking about, like, if I have to do a similar challenge, what is that one thing that I would do? So I think in my case, I don't have this one thing that I would like to do for all 365 days. I enjoy painting, which is why, I'm associated with this brand, and I'm an amateur. I'm not an artist like yourself. But I like to dabble once in a while. I love playing with watercolors and acrylics. So painting is something that I like to do once in a while. The other days I like to pick up yoga. Sometimes it's reading. Sometimes it's dancing. So for me, it's like doing different activities. But the whole mantra is to take out time for myself and do activities that really fulfill me as an individual. So it's, for the audience who's listening to us, you can go the Claudette route where you pick up this one thing and try to do it every single day of the year. Or you could pick up different things, whatever you feel like doing. It doesn't have to be one thing, but the whole idea is to do it consistently by taking out 15 minutes or 30 minutes, even if you don't have more time in the day. So that's what we would like to tell our audience indirectly.
Yeah.
All right.
I love, sorry, before we move on, I just wanted to say, I love the idea of different things, right? So I'm fascinated. I also enjoy yoga, but I hadn't considered taking different things in the 365 days. I love that idea because it would be an opportunity to develop different aspects of yourself. So what I'm imagining now is like a year of growth, of self-discovery. It could be a year of self-discovery. How exciting would that be to say, for this month, this is the thing that I'm going to do every day or every second day or whatever it is, and see what that unlocks within me and how I'm able to connect to myself through this practice. And I think, as you were saying, it's that consistency, because you need time for things to develop and for connections to be made. So I would definitely, as you were saying, encourage people to do it a little longer, not a week, but maybe give it a month. And at the end of the month, check in and say, what did that thing do for me? And how did it change how I viewed myself, or how I was able to process daily feelings or whatever. So I love that idea that you've got. That is such an exciting idea.
Yeah, I mean, I exactly what you just said. You don't have to have a clarity of what you're going to do every single day for those 365 days. It can be done in parts, right? Like for the first month, it can, let's say, I'm going to practice 30 days of yoga. And as they say, it takes 21 days to build a habit, right? So if you do it consistently for 1 month, you may come out of it saying that, hey, you know what, I really enjoyed doing it. Or, you know what, it's not for me, but at least I gave it a shot. But I think at the end of the day, there's a win. So, try different things if that's your calling, and, you'll find, something that you really are passionate about by the end of the month. So,
I love it. Sorry, I interrupted you. You were going to ask another question.
no, like, podcast is like a free-flowing podcast. We don't have like a particular plan or a theme or a call. So, feel free to jump in whenever you feel like. So another question that I had for you was, what is the role of a community according to you? Because you're a community encourager. So what are some of the things that you've actually learned from the community? Is some
I would say the biggest thing for me is a lot of times we struggle to show up for ourselves, right? So if you say, I'm going to create art every day for 30 minutes, it's very easy to find things that become more important. All of a sudden, somebody has an emergency, or you're just tired today, so you'll do an hour tomorrow instead of half an hour today and half an hour tomorrow. And then tomorrow comes and you don't do the hour, and so you keep putting it off. Whereas if you've got a community, and especially if you've got people that you are meeting with regularly, it might not even be that you have to be meeting them online. You could just have someone that you're shooting a text to say, hey, this is what I created today. What did you get done? And they can reply. So community doesn't necessarily have to be a big group of people, but it has to just be someone else that you're connecting to. And so I feel that having that community is a way to help you to show up for yourself, because you know that there are other people out there that, let's say you've made a time to meet once a week on a Sunday afternoon, knowing that they're going to be showing up. And so it just encourages you to show up for yourself too. You are showing up for them, but it is a way for you to be able to stick to those commitments. And so I think that community is definitely a way to be able to encourage yourself to keep showing up, if that makes any sense.
Absolutely, it really does. So you're basically saying there's a power of having an online community as well as an offline community. I think both have their own pros independently. And the good part is, like, people keep talking about all the negatives of social media, but I think this is one big, big positive thing that social media offers. It offers you a platform to showcase your artwork to people around, inspire them, and also get inspiration in return. So I think of this doubly.
Yeah, I think people, I think there's a lot of negativity, as you say, around online things and meeting people online and making friends with people online. I think a lot of people are nervous of, is that really who they say they are, or, that kind of thing. But I have found that you can make such strong friendships with people online and feel it's people that you would never have met, right? So some of my deepest friends live in the US. I'm probably never going to travel to the US, but we chat almost every day. And if we've got projects or ideas that we are thinking about, it's just nice to have somebody that you can use as a sounding board to say, this is the idea I've got. Have you got any ideas, or have you done something similar? Or do you know of someone who's done something similar that I could connect with? And so that network of people allows you to grow in a way that you wouldn't be able to if you were trying to do it on your own, because you can have opinions and thoughts on different directions that you want to go in. It could be something like, I've created this piece of art, but it feels like it needs something, and I just can't work out what it is. Has anyone got suggestions? And I find it fascinating that everybody will have a different suggestion. And if you had to put each of those suggestions in place, it would work and it would change your image. And I think that's so exciting, is that it's such an individual thing, but as a group, you are able to solve problems and find solutions. And so I would definitely recommend that you put yourself out there. And as you said, it might be in person, right? You might live in a place that's big enough that has some kind of community that you could connect to. It depends, I think, on where you are in the world. Here in South Africa, art journaling is just starting to take off. So very limited in terms of in-person things at the moment, but that's what makes online so nice. And of course, speaking to people, you might just spark someone locally who says, hey, that sounds interesting. And just like that, you found an in-person connection.
Wonderful. I can just add to what you just said. In case of Viviva, at least my experience has been that it's as much as we give to the community, we also get back. Two things that come to my mind. One is that we have a physical brick and mortar stall here in London. We have like 2 or 3 stalls in the city. And very often I end up going there and running the stall by myself, just to, it's exciting to just talk to customers, have a conversation with them, know where they're coming from, where they're traveling from into London, right? And just show them the products, ask them if there's anything else that they like. So one interesting thing that came up was someone just saw one of our sketchbooks, which is like a blank cotton sketchbook, and said to me that, what, I don't want to face a blank page at the end of the day. It's already so overwhelming in terms of work and kids and career and all of those things. So why don't you have like an activity book that I can just paint on top of, right? So that was like something exciting that we got only because we spoke to people, and they are the ones who gave us ideas of what else and what direction can we move in. And online community is always like a big encouragement, because I think you understand the impact of your actions through their responses. be it the reviews that they drop us on online on the website and Amazon and wherever, and also like having conversations with them the way you and I are talking, right? And then people say, you know what, this is working out. This color didn't really work out for us, or why don't you try to make more of watercolors? Is something that people mentioned this year. So it's good to know you don't have to kind of just work in silos with your team, right? People are the ones who give you more ideas and what is it that they want. So it's important to just listen once in a while, and that's been learning.
Yeah. Yeah. I always say it's an interchange of encouragement, right? And I think that's one of the things that I love is that it's like a continuous loop. You inspire someone to create, and what they create inspires you to create something else. And so, as you were saying, just being able to speak to your customers and hear what is it that you want, or what colors do you want more of? There's, it's like a fire. It feels like a fire that starts glowing inside you when people can give you feedback and say, oh, yes, this is the thing that we want, or we love this. Can we get more of it? It just makes you feel like I'm making a difference with what I'm doing, and I need to do more.
Exactly. Because they are the ones who, finally are the best people to give you both feedback and what they want to see more of, right? So yeah, I think it's a big plus in my opinion as well.
Yeah. And have you been enjoying your coloring in activity books?
I enjoy it. Trust me. It's something that I take up at least once a week. And sometimes I will just pick up a plain sketchbook and just paint on top of it. Sometimes I feel I am not in the mood for, let's say, writing a lot or journaling. So I feel the colors often tell my mood. So if I'm feeling a little mellow, then I would use those kind of colors. Sometimes maybe like a bit more blues. If I'm feeling a little annoyed or angry at something, I'll probably pick a little more orange and, reds, the fiery reds. So I think my mood also goes from the colors that I end up picking up from the watercolor palette. So yeah, I think that's one way for me to feel calm down and feel relaxed at the end of a very busy week. So yeah.
Oh, I love that. And I think there's so much, when I was going online to check, what you do, and I saw your activity books and it's like, the picture's ready. You just need to go in with your colors. And I thought this is brilliant for people who are just starting out, or for, as you say, those days where you want to be creative, but you really don't want to have to start from scratch. I love the idea of being able to just flip open a page. And as you say, it's just pick the colors. That's all that you need to do is pick the colors and get that page completed. I think it would be so satisfying and so relaxing. So I think it's a brilliant idea.
It's like a small win of the day, right? Almost. It's like, okay, I completed this paint. So big tick mark from your list.
Yes.
It always helps. How important do you think it's important to have inspiration for art? Do you think it's something that can you do it a little more mindlessly? Like today, I don't feel inspired. I'm just going to pick up some form of art and do it. Or do you think it's important to have a lot of inspiration to, you know,
Oh, I think my answer might be a little controversial, but I'm going to put it out there anyway. I think that the idea of having to have inspiration is oftentimes one of the things that scares people, because what is inspiration? Where do I find it? And how do I turn, like people will say, I looked at this and it inspired this, and you can't see the connection. And so for people who are just starting out or wanting to start out on a creative journey, the idea of having to look at one thing and turn it into something completely different, or to try and interpret an orange and paint it out here, might be really intimidating. And it might stop people from actually taking that first step, because what is inspiration? So I think, and that's what I did with my 365-day project. I bought myself a stack of magazines, and I just cut out things that in the moment, that caught my attention, and I stuck them down and I made collages. That's how I started, with just collage. I didn't have paint. I bought one supply at a time as I wanted to explore things further. But I literally just started with a magazine, no preconceived ideas. I was just going to find images that I loved, cut them all out, and recreate something that sometimes they were good, sometimes they weren't good. but just the act of cutting and sticking. And so there was no inspiration. There was no preconceived idea. It was just, I'm going to follow the first step and it will inform the next step. And that has definitely taught me this idea of trust the process. You don't need to know where you're going, but in the moment, if you just feel like all I can do or all I can think of right now is grabbing this pencil and scribbling on the page, do it.
Yeah.
And you might decide, okay, now that I've done that, I feel like smudging that dark pencil or charcoal or whatever across the page. Do that, and it will lead to, what would happen if I took my eraser and erased some lines into it? And that is literally, before you know it, you are creating, you're connecting to yourself, you're following those little breadcrumbs of inspiration, and you might end up with something really beautiful. You might end up at the end of it saying, oh, it's not so good, but how do I feel? How do I feel inside? And 9 times out of 10, it feels like there's space. There's space inside of you again. You just got it out onto the page and you've allowed some space for breathing again. So I don't think inspiration's as important as a lot of people make it out to be.
No, what I tend to agree with you. And it reminds me of it as well. I think, don't you think inspiration is like a very heavy word sometimes?
Absolutely. Yeah. I think process is more important. And that also might sound a little intimidating, maybe, like follow the process. But if you sit down and you think, okay, I'm going to get myself some watercolors and I'm just going to swatch them out. That's the only thing I'm going to do today, swatch them out. Do that. And tomorrow you might decide, okay, I really love the yellows. So today I'm going to paint a page completely yellow. That's all I'm going to do. Paint it yellow and see what I want to do with it after that.
Yeah.
Then follow that.
So people just think about doing something to perfection that they are scared to start. And I would give my example as well. For the last 1 year, I had like about 50 frames that I picked up. So that one fine day, I'm going to sit down and pick the best photos that I have on my phone and just get them printed and put those, hang the frames on the wall. And I put off the project for an entire year. And one day I realized, what, if I don't get started, I'm not going to get anywhere, right? So I was like, let's just get started. Every day I'm going to like pick up 5 pictures or 10 pictures a day and going to finish up the project in about 10 days, right? And when I started the process, I realized it was a lot easier than what I thought it would have been earlier, right? 10 days is all it took me for me to finalize the pictures and put them on the wall, because I was scared that, what if I don't put the best 50 pictures, but they don't have to be the best 50 pictures. They have to be independently lovely pictures, which they were. So, I think just getting started and breaking the inertia is the mantra, so to say.
Yeah. And I think the other thing, it was quite interesting when you talk about the 50 pictures, right? We might also tend to get hooked on this one. This one right here in front of me has to be perfect. But if you put all 50 pieces together, that one that you might have felt, oh, I just can't get this thing right and I'm struggling with it and I'm really not happy with it. Once you put that one image in amongst the 50 other, they just sing. Each and every one of them sings. And so I think we shouldn't put so much pressure on this one has to be perfect. And the next day, this one has to be perfect. Just enjoy the one that you're working on. Have fun with it. Enjoy it for what it is. And I can promise you that when you put all of your work together, or when you've got a completed sketchbook that you can flip through and have your different pieces, that one just it's transformed by having all of the other pieces next to it.
Interesting. So it's like it is going to come together at the end of the day. So trust the process that is going to look beautiful towards the end, right? Don't see things in like these small parts. I think that's a very important lesson. I think it's a very philosophical lesson, if I may say so, as well.
Yeah, I agree.
What else? Do you have any other questions in mind?
Um, well, I think for those that are listening, we've sort of assumed that everyone that's listening knows what Vivia, sorry,
Good.
yes, Vivia color is all about, but there might be people who don't know. So we haven't really discussed what does your watercolor look like?
Yes, I'm happy to just show you one of the samples, in some time. But basically, it's a small booklet which contains watercolors, and the size of the booklet is as small as a credit card, basically. So it's really, really tiny and compact, and you have got 16 colors on that booklet. And it's inspired actually in India when I was there. My partner, his younger brother, and I, who started the brand, we used to travel by trains quite often in India, and we had a concept of a booklet of paper soaps. So you just pull out the paper, and it's got soap on it. So just in contact with the water, and you can use the soap papers. And we're like, why don't we do this for watercolors? Because for the last 200, 250 years, the way watercolors are presented hasn't changed. It's still the same. So that was the starting point, and we tried to solve a problem that we were facing because none of us are artists by profession, but we wanted to just be able to paint when we have 10, 15 minutes and we're on the go, right? So we wanted to make something for that busy modern individual who doesn't have too much time, or for that very busy mother who has to cater to her child. So, but still want to do some art and practice some art, right? So that was the starting point. And the reason why we came up with this and thought of, bringing it out to the world is because we wanted to help others who have a similar problem as us solve it. So these are super convenient watercolors that you can just carry in the back pocket of your jeans and carry it literally anywhere on a flight or on a bus stop. When you're seeing a beautiful car in front of you, just pick up the brush and the watercolors and start painting. All of the products that we have come up with under the brand Viviva have one thing in common, which is the convenience of using them and carrying them around.
Well,
So,
I must say, my husband isn't an artist, but he is an avid Instagram reel watcher. And so he's always sending me interesting things. And he sent me before, like, I think it was last year already, he sent me one of your reels and he said, look at how cool this is.
nice. It's so lovely when it organically reaches people, right? That's the joy, rather than you talking more about it. It's great when people already know about it in some way or the other. Like a friend mentioned it to me, or we saw it at a small store near our house. It kind of fills my heart with a lot of joy. So, coming back to Get Messy, what do you think? What's the plan for the year? What's in the pipeline for Get?
So in Get Messy this year, we have got a different season for each month. So that means that we've got a specific focus. So this month, we're actually in the season of Naked, which I love because each season we try to make sure that there are different interpretations that you can use to that word. So naked, what does that look like? What does it mean in your art practice? What does it mean in how you feel and how you are expressing yourself in your art practice? And so we've got the season of liberation this year. We've got the season of do it scared. So there are, I think, really a lot of exciting seasons coming up. And so we've got different teachers that have got lessons around that theme. We've got in-person workshops or hangouts that we do where people can connect and make art around that theme. And so it's really, it's a nice way to be able to dig deeper into an art practice because of the focus of the different seasons and different themes. So if someone is maybe wanting to have a jumping off point or being able to grow their creative practice by having different focus, I don't think a lot of us would go to naked necessarily when we were trying to create a project for ourselves. So it's a way to be able to push yourself out of your comfort zone, but in a very focused and safe environment.
Interesting. Nice. And you guys also sell art journals, right?
Yes. Oh, so last year, we started with selling different products. And
Uh-huh.
so we launched our art journal, which was so exciting. You've got a journal too, so you know what it's like to put it out into the world. Um,
Yes.
yeah, it was just so interesting to be able to create a journal that we felt people needed. You know,
Mhm.
what is different to what's already out there? So the paper in the journal, there are a lot of different kinds of paper. We've got vellum and pockets, and yeah, so it's a very interactive, very different to most journals that are out there. And
Mhm.
then we've also had some stencils launched. So I got to create a line of stencils, which was really exciting. We had a prompt deck that was launched, which is also a nice way to be able to pull different prompts as you're creating if you're feeling a little stuck or that you'd
Yes.
like to be able to do something a little different. It's a nice
Mhm.
way of doing it. So yeah, there are a lot of things that keep coming out in the Get Messy store just to keep people inspired and
Yeah.
to get them curious about what different supplies and maybe even a different journal can how that can influence how you're creating.
Nice. In so many ways, our brands are very complementary to each other because, primarily Viva Colors is known for watercolors more than anything else, like sketchbooks and other offerings as well. And your brand is into these beautiful art journals, right? So what I'm going to do is, of course, add a link of both Get Messy's website and Viva Colors website on our YouTube page so everyone can have a look on the website as well. So that would be super cool.
Yeah.
All right. Any final thoughts that you have for our audience? Any closing remarks?
Hmm. I think I would say if you're listening to this and you are wanting to be creative, but or maybe still, a lot of people say, I'm not a real artist, or I don't even know how to draw a straight line. The good news is you don't need to be able to draw a straight line. I would say I love the wonkier, the better. So if your line is going to be super skew, I think you've got it. So what
Yeah.
I'm saying is everybody has got creativity within them. And so if there is a voice inside you that says, oh, it looks so exciting, but I'm not an artist, you need to tell that voice it's time for you to go and have a cup of tea because I'm going to try. I'm going to give it a try. And I'm just going to see how being creative makes me feel. And if you
Yeah.
enjoy it, do it again tomorrow.
Absolutely. I think that's a stunning closing remark, to be very honest, because I have got something on very, very similar lines. Like I would say, practice art in some form or the other, right? It doesn't have to be art journaling or watercolors. Use your favorite medium, but just get into the habit of finding some moments of creativity where you can do something that's truly your own. That's what I would say. But this has been spectacular, Claudette. I think we should do this more often.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to hearing all your other episodes that you're going to be releasing. It's always so nice to hear from different artists and different people on their perspective because it allows you to sort of challenge how you're thinking and feeling and
Yeah.
to just keep growing as a human.
Yes, definitely. Good luck to you as well and get messy. And this has really been a heartwarming conversation, and I personally have taken a lot from it. So thank you so much, Claudette. And for those who are watching, thank you so much for having watched our podcast. And once this podcast releases, we are going to be hanging around in the comment section for 30 minutes or 45 minutes. So feel free to say a quick hello to us and drop down your questions, and we'll be more than happy to answer them immediately. Thank you so much once again.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.